Hey guys, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can find out the references or the dependencies from one cell. So let's say for an example, we have H3 as a column where we have some formula been running. Now, if someone doesn't really understand the formula, how he can find out that from where or which is the reference data, how this is calculated, and all those things, or other dependencies. If the value of this particular cell will change, which all other cell would get affected. So we have a hidden formulas, or we can say unused features of Excel. So if we go into at the top in the formula tab, and we see something like here, trace precedents, trace dependents. Now, moment you select the cell which have the formula and you click on trace precedents. Now what's happening is, now if you see these dot line, maybe I'll just zoom it more a bit, and if you see what it's saying is this value is of bananas coming here, and from where it's coming, it's been coming from this particular area. So it's finding bananas and getting the values from this particular area. Now in our case, if we see the formula, we are using VLOOKUP. Again, we are looking for the cell G3, so it's giving you a pointing that the reference value is been from G3, and then it's telling you which table array the value is coming from. If we see this, we can get the same information just by looking at the formula. However, when you work with a huge data set, it's really important to have, because it will show us how the dependencies are working. Now, one other thing at the bottom, if you see, after trace depends precedence, and there is a trace dependence as well. Now, precedence is from where are we getting the value. Now, when we do trace dependence, it's gonna show that if the cell value changes, what will change. So if we click on trace dependence here, now see, I have this cell which is showing you the formula been written in H3. So the formula, I'm going to change this formula to something else, this formula will change, right? So let's say we come here and we do some changes. We say, okay, this particular area, let's make it D13. It will still get us the value, and maybe we can do this as the column index number as 2, and we hit enter. See, this value changes. And again, this dependence means if the value of the cell changes, which other cell it would affect. Whereas the precedent says from where and how this value is coming from. This is an important and a useful concept of Excel, which will be really useful when we work with a data set which is new to us and we don't want to get into the details of the formula. This way we can find out, okay, this value is coming from this table array, and this, if I change this value, these all things would be changed. Now to remove all these lines, there is at the bottom, if you see, remove arrows. If we click, everything will go away. Now just for another example, just to understand, I mean, this is a bit more tedious example where we are running the VLOOKUP. I've covered this in one of the video of mine where we have two different table arrays and we wanted to run the VLOOKUP on a condition. So if we come here, let's say we are looking for how the precedents, or from which all data is being processed to get this particular value in the cell I3. Now if I click on trace precedents, now if you see, if I zoom in here, if you see, this is the one, this is the one. So what is happening is this value is coming from this particular table array based on this item ID and the fruits, and this value comes in. Another thing, if you see, it's also showing the other table array which is used in the formula. However, if you see this big dot, it's showing that the value is coming from because of this 125 and apple. This is the criteria for finding out the values. Now if I just remove this, let's go on to maybe this particular Now, if we click on trace precedents, now if you again see the value is coming from your G6, H6. Now, these are the base of the value or the criteria on which this value is coming in. From where is value coming from? It's coming from either this table array or this table array. And if we look at the formula as well, it's saying H3, where I'm saying watermelon, and I'm taking an if condition and I'm running a formula where I'm saying G3 is lesser than 200, then I go to this. If more than 200, I go to this. So both of the table arrays are used. However, again, it's gonna show you the relations. Now, one other thing, if we see, now let's remove these lines and we do trace dependence. Now, again, if the value changes here, what will change is this cell, because again, as I always do in my all videos, I have there is a formula known as formula text, which tells you the formula in text, which from a reference of other cell. If I change this formula, let's say if I'm just gonna do, just for an example, I do sum and I do sum of all this and I close this formula, see this changes. So again, what's showing it is showing you the reference. Now, the reason it's showing you the arrow bit there is because this is a merged cell and it's gonna do B16, right? This cell, I mean, this is a merged one, and the first cell in the top cell, or the first cell we can say in the merged cell, is B16. So if we see this formula, this would be B16, or this will be counted as a B16 by Excel. That's the reason it's coming, the arrow is here. I hope this is clear, guys. This is one concept which is not used that much. However, this is a very important functionality of Excel, especially when you're working with a data set which is unknown to you, especially for the auditors and all of the audit functions when being done. This is a very useful concept to know, and this would really help anyone to understand the data and how the formulas and all of the things are being worked in the linked cell or a given worksheet. Thanks for watching this video, guys.